Hello and welcome to New Earth Lifestyles. I'm Janie King, your host of the show and producer. I'm glad you're here with me today. It's March 6, 2014, Manchester, New Hampshire. A beautiful day trying to be spring here. Beautiful blue sky, a little crisp in the air, 20s, high 20s. So it feels in the car a lot warmer than it is outside, but it's a beautiful day. I'm glad you're with me today. So, New Earth Lifestyles is a show giving you an opportunity to look at life from a different perspective, looking at how you might want to change your life, perhaps giving you a glimpse into other worlds or other aspects of the way people live, other people might be doing their life. Ultimately, to learn to enjoy life, become prosperous, and happy, basically, happiness. That's the goal of this show, is to give you some opportunities. So thank you to manchestertv.org and Channel 23 for the space that they make this lovely studio. And thank you to John O'Neill for being my technical director today and had patience. I had to run back to my car to pick up some of my things. So today, coming up on the show, we're going to be talking about shamanism, and that's a word that I used to be terrified of when I was younger and didn't understand what it meant. I was raised a Congregationalist, a Christian Congregationalist, which I really am grateful for. It was a very soft kind of Christianity that gave me an opportunity to learn about the Bible and Jesus and the disciples and what Christianity is from the perspective of a Protestant background as opposed to other types of Christianity. So I'm grateful for that. I'm going to gong on that one too. And relaxation is really key for changing how you live your life. So every time you come to the show and watch the show, you will always, most of the time, as long as I remember it, I will have my singing bowl here to help me to relax and breathe, because breathing is free. And when we do it intentionally and slow ourselves down and really take some deep breaths and fill up our lungs with oxygen and let it out, when we let it out, we can release stress, can't we? And releasing stress and living more happily is what I'm here to model for you, and I'm here to live my life from that place of being as stress-free as possible. We cannot be totally stress-free. We cannot be totally stress-free. However, we can take breaks during the day and simply breathe deeply to enhance our lives and let go of unnecessary stress. So that's why my singing bowl is here. And a singing bowl or a sacred bowl is one of the objects used in shamanism in some parts of the world. So you could say I'm practicing shamanism just by ringing my bowl. And shamanism, also coming from Siberia and northern Europe, northeastern Europe, they say can have a connection to Buddhism because the word shaman has a direct relationship to another Sanskrit word that sounds the same, and I don't have the exact word highlighted here, though I just was checking into that. But it's very much related to Buddhism, and so all the sacred religions of the world, including Christianity, they're all related, aren't they? So shamanism is just one step into a more indigenous or more earth-based type of belief system. And so what I was saying is I was raised in a Christian manner with going to church every Sunday, going to Sunday school, and becoming confirmed in the Congregational Church in East Bridgewater, Massachusetts, where I grew up. And I was grateful for that church, as I was saying, because it was very forgiving on some levels as far as not having strict mores or strict rituals, I guess is what I'm trying to say, that you had to do every time you went into church, like genuflecting or certain things that other churches do. So from that perspective, I was very grateful to have that upbringing. And it also gave me an open-minded approach to religion and to Christianity. As I said, growing up, I also grew up in a very white Anglo-Saxon Protestant New England town, southeastern Massachusetts, which didn't have much exposure to people of color or people of different cultures. In fact, it was, so you kind of were always expecting the norm, expecting the same kind of people in your life and the same belief system, the same Christianity as sort of, it wasn't really like a melting pot. It was like a really Puritan, the old colonial type, Puritanistic type of town where I grew up. And from that point of view, I must say that different cultures frightened me, which includes shamanism, which includes all the things that I do today, everything that I'm doing now in my life, energy healing, shamanism, herbalism, Native American ceremonies that I've learned, drum making, which are basically all shamanistic or shaman things that I do now. I was really terrified of the first, say, 40 years of my life. So I hope this gives you an opportunity to check out with yourself if this feels like it's uncomfortable for you. Well, maybe that's a good thing. That's one thing I've been learning as well, is sometimes things are uncomfortable means that maybe we should explore that. Maybe there's a place there for learning. Maybe there's a place there for releasing old limiting beliefs that we no longer need when a fear comes up or a dissing, a pushing something away. Maybe that's an opportunity to learn more about who you are, to learn more about, letting go of some of that may be holding on to your energy in a way that is depleting you. And so that's something that I've been learning throughout my life, and so from the time I was 40 until now, I've sort of grown into this more easygoing attitude toward all cultures of the world. I still have a ways to go, but I am opening to that acceptance of other cultures, because we're all living on the same planet. We all breathe the same air. Our blood is all the same color, red, and we all have a beautiful heart. And I believe that all humanity, all human beings are here to love and express their heart's longing, no matter what or how they're living from that place now, if they are or not. I believe we're all put on this planet to really enjoy life and to love each other from our heart. And so thanks for joining me. Hope you're not a channel surfer and moving along to too many other channels. If you want to stay grounded here with me, that would be fun to learn a little more about shamanism. And the reason I came to this subject today, because this is kind of part of how I live my life, so it's very constant in my life all the time. A person passed away on Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2014, and his name is David Corbin. He was a very well-loved and experienced teacher for the Foundation for Shamanic Studies, which was founded by Michael Harner, who was studying. He went to South America long ago during his PhD dissertation to study the cultures of South America, and he came back, and he was really the father of bringing shamanism to the West, to the United States. And so he created the Center for Shamanic, the Foundation for Shamanic Studies here in the United States. And this person that passed away, David Corbin, was someone that I had aspired to learn more about shamanism from. He and his wife, Nan Moss, who is still teaching at the foundation. Both were people that I had, my focus had gone to, I want to do that someday. I really would love to learn from them, because they learned from the man who's been there and done that, and they do a lot of traveling to South America and all over, not only there, but all over the world, to learn about the shamanic practices of all indigenous cultures. There's shamanic practices all over the world. And so that's what brought me to talking about shamanism today, was that this man, David Corbin, just passed away on Valentine's Day, and I'd like to honor that aspect of life, the shamanic practices that he loved and he taught others. And as I read his obituary and all the comments about him, he was very, very well loved in the community that he taught in. And it's a very big loss for that community that he is now on the other side. Although, if we believe in spirit, which I do, it could be a benefit on an enhanced level as he's now in the spirit world, helping us to then maybe learn more deeply about shamanism, about spirit, about life after death, about eternal life, which is what I believe also Jesus came here to teach, was how to, that we are eternal beings. And that is all part of the shamanic way of living. So I brought some things, some toys that I have that are actual shamanic tools, and one of them is this, my singing bowl. That it comes from Tibet, and Tibet is a country of the Himalayas. This is a 7 metals bowl, and if you were here a couple weeks ago, you were here when my good friend Tanji Sampson brought her singing bowls, and we learned a lot more about the metals that go into these singing bowls. So this is a shamanic tool. As you can hear, the sound is very healing, and it helps us to go to other dimensions as well. So that's one of the things, that's actually what shamanism, the basis of shamanism, is about. The practitioner, the shamanic practitioner, using the tools of the drum or the bowl or the rattle or whatever other tools we may be using to move into an altered state of reality, or what they may call non-conscious reality, or an altered state of being, so that the shamanic practitioner can then go and help the person that's ill or help the person that's needing help to bring back parts of themselves, or to change something on the unseen levels of reality that are keeping them in disease or in illness of whatever that might be. So the shamanic practitioner's job is to go into an altered state of reality, which is what hypnosis teaches us as well. Hypnosis is another method of going into hypnotic trance, which is an altered state of reality, a non-ordinary state of reality, so that we can then access different realms or different dimensions, the infinite dimensions of what we don't see as physical, which are actually keeping us here in the physical. And so there are many tools to do that, and that's what the shamanic practice is all about. So I wanted to also tell you about when I was at Barbara Brennan School of Healing, which is where my training comes from. The second year I was there, so the Barbara Brennan School of Healing is a 4-year program where you go to school 5 separate weeks throughout the year. So it's not a constant, like going to college, you're there for a few months and then you come home and you go for a few months. This healing school, you went for a whole week, and it was very intense. You got really plunged into the process for a week with all the students. The whole school would meet once a week for 5 weeks throughout the year, like October, December, March, April, and June. Throughout the year, and then we'd go home and do home practice and home study. But the second year of the school was the sophomore year, and that whole year was dedicated to the heart chakra, the heart energy center. We have an energy center, like a vortex of energy that comes in and metabolizes energy into the heart chakra, the heart energy center, into our energy field, our aura. And that whole year was when I was first introduced to shamanism, which is why I'm talking about it. When one of the teachers, there are many teachers there that practiced shamanism, because there were teachers there from all different modalities of healing, giving us a really nice example or experience rather in different modalities, so that we could choose and pick and choose or feel what resonated with us to actually use when we went out into the world now, like I am practicing as in my healership. So the second year of school, it was focused on the heart chakra, which is what shamanism focuses on. And that's where the real, I think, the loss in translation comes from. I know when I was, as I said, afraid of the word shamanism, I had no idea, I had no concept or clue that it was really about heart and heart connection and opening the heart, and how the shaman goes into the heart and expands into all the levels of what's called the astral realms, the astral plane, the astral infinite dimensions of being. In shamanism, they talk about going into the 3 worlds, the lower world, the middle world, and the upper world. And each of those areas, they're different levels of vibration, but each of those areas have multiple layers within them, like, with like the energy field that we have. We have an energy field, or our aura is also multi-layered and has infinite layers within it and inside of us at the same time. As I've come to understand, infinity goes out as far as it can go, and infinity also goes in as far into infinity within. So there's infinity outside and infinity within. There's infinity everywhere. What is infinity? It's never ending, never ending. And so shamanism is a way to access things that we cannot access in the physical realm. And it's focused and based in the heart, in seeing. And when you close your eyes, when you go on a journey, if you were to close your eyes when I sound my bowl, close your eyes and let yourself go into your heart, and then imagine that your heart is an eye, is a vision place, a place where you can vision from. And what if you can see from your heart? See from your heart, not only seeing out, but also seeing into yourself. Seeing out and seeing in. So shamanism is a practice of opening the heart, traveling, going, and I'll talk about how we travel in a minute, but traveling on these astral planes, these astral levels, into the heart, into the infinity, into the infinite place of being, of multidimensional life that is not physical, the non-ordinary reality. And by doing that, the shaman, the shamanic practitioner, would come into contact with whatever's going on, or the purpose of it would be an intention to come into contact with being shown what's going on with this person, with the client or the patient, that the shamanic practitioner can then work from those other realms, from those other levels of being, the non-ordinary reality. And by doing this, it can affect the health and the well-being of this person on a positive level when you're working through the heart chakra, or you're working from a place of love, and that is how it affects the health of another person. So, and by the way, this is a call-in show, and if you have any questions about what I'm saying and you want to call in and talk about it, the number is 603-413-0223, and you're welcome to call in at any time throughout the show. Of course, it's live today, Thursday, March 6th, and after this, it will no longer be live. So if you're watching the show at another time, there's no way you can call in. So you can call me at my number, but I'm going to gong my gong again. Help me to slow down. And the breath is important in shamanism, as in all healing modalities. The breath is important for living, isn't it? However, an intentional breath, intentional breathing in love and breathing out, letting go, breathing out tension, breathing in love and breathing out, letting go. And so we're talking about shamanism today, and I did bring some toys here. If we can kind of zoom in over here a little bit, one of my toys that I brought was this is a drum hoop. And making a drum is a wonderful shamanic activity. And right here is an actual piece of rawhide that you would soak in water, and it would bend over the hoop. And that is how a drum is made. So this hide actually is a deer hide, real deer, and it's been cleaned so that it's raw. It has not been tanned. It's rawhide, that's why it's so stiff. And what you would do is you would soak this in water, and when it would become soft and pliable, just like fabric, and you would then bend it over the hoop, and we'd tie it on. And once you did that, we'd have this nice little drum. This is the same size hoop. I think this is a 10-inch hoop, and you would have a drum like this. And this happens to be a bear hide drum, and so you stretch it over the hoop, and there you go. You'd have a traveling drum. This is a nice size for putting in a backpack, of course, and taking into the woods or wherever you wanted to go, and doing your ceremony or your drumming wherever you'd like to go. So there you go. There's one of the tools that a shaman would use. And there's also this stick. You can make a drumstick to go with it. And so by drumming on like this at a steady beat over a long period of time, I don't know if you can feel that, but it would help you to go into an altered state of reality, a trance, and travel. And you would keep the drumming up on a steady beat as long as you needed to be traveling. So there's the drum. As I said, this is a bear hide drum. Another tool that the shamanic practitioners use is a rattle. And I brought my rattle to show you. This is my rattle that I use to clean my space in my healing space. So this is my rattle. It's a horsehide rattle. And I made this, of course. And so it's got sacred corn inside and an amethyst bead, which is what I call a sacred bead. So again, the beat and the sound would help you to travel into other dimensions of reality. Sound also helps you to clear any energies, negative energies from your space, from your house, from your aura. So I use this rattle in the morning to clean my energy field, to clean the room. I use this to clean the room so the sound and my intention into the sound is cleaning the space. So again, this is a shamanic tool. So that's a rattle. Another tool that shamanic practitioners might be using is stone, different types of stone. And here I've brought a beautiful amethyst stone that was gifted to me by a friend. So this amethyst stone is, as you can see, it's very sparkly. Amethysts have multiple points on them. And amethyst is the beautiful color purple, and it's a very healing stone. So shamans would use this stone for different ways. You could just hold the stone and go into it and do a meditation holding the stone. You could place a number of stones around you to intend to amplify your energy. You could use the stone on your client, on your patient that you're working on. Put different stones that have different qualities to them. All stones, this is a gemstone. They have different energies and different qualities of healing or calling in different energies, depending on what the client or the person is looking to do or needs to have happen, type of healing that wants to occur. You would use different types of stones. Another stone that I have brought here today is my crystal, quartz crystal. The amethyst also was a crystal, which is a general term. I have to keep it wrapped because I don't want it to get chipped or anything. So I have this. This is a quartz crystal that another friend of mine gave me. Maybe you're watching today, Wendy. I love this crystal. I have it in my healing room. You can program your quartz crystals, or actually all of your gemstones, to do the type of healing that you want to do. A quartz crystal can take you places. There's a lot of energy inside the crystal. These are alive. Everything, of course, all of these tools, from my perspective, are alive. They have energy. They have they are used for a lot of different things. So this is a quartz crystal that I use in my healing space to hold. I use this to hold the space of sacredness, to hold the space of light and spirit and transformation. This crystal it tells me when it wants to go places. I went in my healing space today and said, "Who wants to come?" And this crystal was one of the objects that wanted to come, along with my amethyst crystals. So there are some of the tools that shamanic practitioners use in the healing space in in helping people. So the shaman is a person that is trained, and sometimes he's or she is brought into the practice of shamanism through their heritage, And so sometimes shamanic practitioners can't really decide what to do on their own. They already are doing it. They're already part of the family, say, of a shamanic practitioner, a shamanic family, a medicine person, as another word for it, medicine, a medicine man in the tradition of the American Indian. And now another tool that I brought that shamanic practitioners use is a feather or feathers. Feathers are very important. Feathers are a symbol of the air, and the birds take and fly and have the ability to help the shamanic practitioner to travel through the other worlds. And so the feather, this is a turkey feather, and the feather is important for also being, it's very quiet, and I use my feathers to sweep the field or sweep the energy of my clients, sometimes before, sometimes during, sometimes after. It depends on how what the person's energy field is calling out to me to do. But the most important time that I sweep with the feather, if I'm called to, is at the end of a healing, because when we're doing all this energy work and changing things in the energy field, sweeping away and really solidifying the cleanliness of the person's energy field is important, and using a feather to do that with intention, because everything that we do as a shamanic practitioner, everything we do and everything we do in life, actually, if you really want to look at it, intention is really an important piece of that, isn't it? An important piece of having an intention for how you want your day to go, which I've talked about in the past, or an intention of what you're desiring in your life, or how you want to be, or how you want your experiences to be. And so even in the healing room, my intention with my clients has a lot to do with the success of the whole process. And so when I'm working with any of these tools, my intention towards how the tools are working with the person has a lot to do with how it does work, with the success rate. And so my intention when I'm using my feathers could be, sometimes it is to really clean away and to give away, and for the angels or the guides to take away the debris that may have come off the energy field, may be loosened up in the process, energetic debris, things that we can't necessarily see. Actually, we can't see. It's not necessarily. we cannot see all this energy, at least with a visual eye. I perceive it as an energy practitioner, a shamanic practitioner. I perceive it, and so we sweeping it away after the person has completed the energy healing process, takes that debris that might be floating around and not knowing what to do, and I sweep it up and I ask the guides or the angels or the spirit animals to take the debris away and to transform it into love, to transform it into wherever is the best place for it to be, not with this client any longer. So there are some tools. There's a feather, and there's the rattle, and there's the stones and the drum. And one thing I didn't bring is sage, or sacred, well, actually I keep some in here with my rattle, sage, and also sweetgrass. So I keep wrapped in my rattle. It helps the energy to stay clean. I have some, this is a broken off braid of sweetgrass. Now sweetgrass is let me see if I can do it so you can see it. Sweetgrass is something that grows wild, and I know it grows. It's native to New England. It grows in wet areas, but if you were to wet it, it would smell very, very sweet. It's considered a sacred herb by the indigenous people, and so when if you were to smudge with sage, which I have some here too. This sage is from. Actually, it's not a very good piece of sage. It's what's left over. This sage is from South Dakota. I actually was able to harvest it when I was in South Dakota. This sage is these are mostly the sticks of sage, but you would burn the sage, and you would burn it so that it would clean your room. So the smoke from the sage and the smoke from the sweetgrass would go up, and it would filter into your room. You'd walk around your room with it, holding this in something that's non-flammable, and the smoke, you would leave a window open or a door cracked open, and the smoke would then pick up any debris, pick up any impurities in the air, any negative energies, and it would go out the door, the window. And so the sacred smoke is what is the healing aspect of these sacred herbs. So again, this is sweetgrass. Normally this would come in a nice long braid, but I've cut it down to fit in with my rattle. And normally this is a big bunch of white sage, but there are some examples of sacred herbs that are used in cleaning, in smudging. If you want to know more about that, you can always contact me, and I could give you more information on what that means. I think I spoke about it once also on one of my other shows. So, shamanic practitioners, shamanism, in the honor of David Corbin and his wife Nan Moss, who is continuing to practice and to teach, and in the honor of Michael Harner, who created the Foundation for Shamanic Studies, and Sandra Ingerman, who still is they're all still teaching today, and they all have many books out on shamanism and how you could practice that. And so shamanism for me has become actually a way of life. And when I started thinking about doing this show today in honor of David Corbin and the fact that he's a big loss to the world at this point in time, I really started thinking about how I do my own healing methods and my own shamanic practices, which I don't really call shamanic. I call them more indigenous ceremonies that I kind of have created for myself based on what the pieces that I've learned along the way. So I'm not trained in any particular process. I've learned from a group of people that we practice Lakota traditions with, and you could always find a group like that in your area that you're drawn to if you want to learn more about getting into this type of way of living. So for me, this is a way of living, and throughout my journey from going from my accountant, changing over into, I went into herbalism, and then I went into healing, and now I'm really understanding that I'm a shamanic practitioner, even though I'm not trained formally in it. I've come to learn pieces of it that I've incorporated into who I am and what I believe and how I live my life, which has made all the difference in my happiness and all the difference in understanding who I am. I do have Native American background in me. It was not something I lived growing up because it was kept very quiet and very secret, actually, growing up in New England and coming from New England Native background, the Northeastern Woodlands peoples. They were persecuted from the 1600s, and so they scattered, and they did not want people to know they were Indian or Native American from way back. And so my family comes from that heritage of not wanting anyone to know that you have Native background because you were discriminated and persecuted. And so I have that background in me where my father said his father never wanted to know anything about genealogy. He never wanted to know about his background because he was Native American, and they didn't want people to know that they were Native American back, say 100 years ago, or even 60 years ago. So I grew up with that hush-hush, I think we've got Wampanoag in us, I think we might have some Wampanoag. And then I found out from a third cousin of my father's that came along back, actually when I was in my second year of healing school. She came along when I was working with the heart energy. I was working with the shamanic tradition. Isn't that amazing how spirit sort of brought that into my life, that information of how it is that I really truly do have Native American in me, from actually Mi'kmaq from Pictou, Nova Scotia, and Wampanoag from Martha's Vineyard. My great-great-grandmother was Wampanoag, and my great-great-grandfather, I can't remember if it was 2 greats or 3 greats, but someone back there, my great-great-grandfather, I think his great-great-grandfather was from Pictou, Nova Scotia, was Mi'kmaq, and came together in Abington, Massachusetts, and at that time they became Quakers. They were known as Quakers, and Quakers are very peaceful people. So anyway, that's how I came to know my Native American heritage, and it happened in 1997 when I was 1998, somewhere in there, where I was just learning about the heart opening. I was just learning about shamanic practitioners and what shamanism was. And for the first time at the healing school I just talked about, Barbara Brennan School of Healing, the whole class, our whole sophomore class, was taken on a journey. I think there were 200 of us. We were all laying on this ballroom floor, and we were taken on a journey to bring back parts of our soul that we had lost or had broken off from us. And that was an amazingly opening experience for me to get in touch with the idea of going on a journey and going out and being able to bring back a piece of my soul, connecting with my power animal and bringing back a piece that had been broken off from me. And that's what shamanic practitioners do. And so back in that time, 97, which was not eight, how many, whatever years ago, that was my introduction into shamanism and shamanic practices. And so the same year that happened, I was actually introduced to the fact that yes, I do have Native heritage, and there was a huge healing, a lot of pain for me around really having the fact that my great-great-grandfather and great-great-grandmother were both really Native American, because it was always a myth growing up as a child and we played Indians. I used to play Indians. We had ponies. We had our pinto ponies that we used to jump on and play cowboys and Indians with. My brother and I used to go out in the woods when we were probably 8 or 9 and go. I remember standing by this beautiful little stream and pretending we had, the teepee and the fire, and we were Indians out in the woods, living in the woods. And those are all myths that I grew up playing with. Pardon me, but I realized not too long ago that it really is part of my blood, part of my heritage, part of who I truly am. And the healing experience, moving on from that place of understanding, of knowing that back in the 90s to now, has been an amazing experience for me. And that's why all of this stuff that I do comes from me kind of naturally. And I'm telling you all this and talking about it so that you can look at your life and your background and who you are, and maybe question where you come from, or maybe you're already there. You know your background. Maybe you're Irish, or maybe you're German, or have a really rich ethnic history that you've pushed in the background that maybe wants to come up and be seen by you, and maybe it's a part of your own truth. And I wanted to also say that. But I need to slow down first, so let me just stop and breathe. I started, as you could hear me getting excited, and I like to stay grounded and down and slow, and down being in my body. One thing I did learn from healing school is that I tend to want to go up and out. I tend to want to leave my body and go way up here and have fun up in the ethers and up in the light, where some people don't like to be grounded, and I realized that I never knew what grounding was until I went to healing school. But I need to come back and stay in my body and stay grounded and stay aligned to my intention for what I'm doing here today, talking about shamanism and honoring the indigenous cultures that lived their life understanding and taking for granted shamanic practices or medicine people in their group, in their communities. And that's what this is all about today. And the fact that we can actually learn these practices from people like David Corbin, who just recently passed away, and his wife, Nan Moss, who are both teachers with the Foundation for Shamanic Studies. And also there's another nice practitioner, a wonderful group, the Four Winds Society, I believe, and Dr. Alberto Velodo also is a shamanic teacher, a PhD, who is actually a South American descent. I don't recall what his total background is, because I did not, as I said, study from any of these people, but there are quite a few shamanic schools out there that you can learn this information if you desire to have a formal experience in learning this from people that have studied it and practice it all the time. There are 3-year programs, there are 2-year programs where you can really dive into it. As I said, I came by this kind of organically through my healing school experiences and through my my genealogy, my cultural background that was not made known to me growing up. And so for me, it's a passion, it's a life, it's a heart longing, it's a desire that I didn't realize I had, that is coming up in me all the time, more and more and more. And that's where making drums, I was very fortunate to marry a man that helped me to learn how to make drums. And Richard, my former husband, and I started, well, he learned how to make a drum, and he showed me how to make drums, and then we started doing drum building workshops together, and I have continued that process because it's a passion of mine. And that is a wonderful shamanic experience, to make your own tools, to make your own rattle, to take a feather and tie a feather in this way, so that you have a handle on it, and honor the feather in this way by making it a tool. It's an honoring. It's a giving new life to this feather. This feather is alive. It was alive when it was on the bird. It is still alive by the intention and the energy that I give it, and also by the fact that it still has the turkey energy in it. So, So shamanic practitioners, shamanic practices, indigenous cultures. That brings us to the earth, doesn't it? The earth. The earth, our Mother Earth, the Earth Mother, many ways to look at it. The earth cultures, the cultures that have been here since the earth has been here. And those are the cultures that really have a lot of wisdom in helping humanity to be healthy, and to be happy, and to love each other and care for each other. I know that that Hollywood has depicted the Native American as a savage and violent, but in fact, the Native people are very peaceful people. The indigenous cultures are very peaceful cultures, and that's probably where we get the fear from, and that probably is where my fear came from when I was young. Even though I used to play cowboys and Indians, I still had a fear of it, which is something that I had to heal when I got into healing school, when I realized that I really do have that heritage in me. I had to heal that fear that has been ingrained in me through television and movies, that Indians or Native Americans or medicine men, or people from the jungles of South America, or from the Andes, or from the Himalayas, or wherever they were from, that live off the land, were terrifying to me, when in fact they are very peaceful people, and very loving people, and very kind people. And in fact, the ethnobotanists that have gone throughout the world into the jungles and into the indigenous cultures of the world to learn about their medicine, brought back to the pharmaceutical companies the basis of a lot of pharmaceutical drugs that we use nowadays, that all came from these indigenous cultures and their understanding of the sacred herbs and the medicinal herbs that they use and they practice using all the time, as a matter of course, as just the way they know. It's their life, their way of being. So we owe a lot to the indigenous cultures for all that they've given us, and unfortunately we don't reciprocate by offering back to them a quality of life, which I believe is an atrocity that we're still doing to this day. I don't want to go there at this moment, but I did want to say that. And I was going into the direction of the earth, and the earth fact that we all depend on the earth. We all live on this planet. We all breathe the air. We all live in a home that is built from earth objects, wood or cement or whatever. We all eat the food that comes from the earth, and the fire in our soul, the fire comes from the earth. Those are the four elements. And metal does come from earth elements as well. So the earth is what this is all about. That is the basis of shamanism, isn't it? Is honoring the earth, living from the earth, and becoming more intimate with the earth. So one of the ways that you can begin to do any of this that I've been speaking about today is to simply go for a walk on the earth. Go for a walk in the woods. Go for a walk in the park. Be grateful for the air. Be grateful for the ground you're walking upon. Be grateful for the water that you drink. That was the other element I missed. Be grateful, and you don't have to honor these things in a way of, praying to them, but honor them by just giving thanks to them. That is huge. That is the way they want to be honored, giving thanks to the earth, giving thanks to this beautiful breath that you have, that you can breathe in freely, that you can breathe in intentionally, that you can breathe in with a desire to help yourself relax, to help yourself to heal. So these are things that you can use that do not cost anything. Zero. These are ways that you can look at improving your life if you want to improve your life, if you think you need to improve your life, which for me, I always need improvement. There's always room for bettering myself because I have these ingrained ways of being that I don't like. So if you desire to improve your life, this is one way to look at life from a different perspective that can be improving, that can be enhancing and bettering your life and looking at how things are for you. So, shamanism, drumming, rattling, sound. So you may want to look at what sounds do you hear, and how do sounds impact your life? How is it that sound and silence as well, as feathers are silent, aren't they? Well, we think they are. I mean, we can make sound with feathers. Very hard to, but and it's hard to do that, especially with an owl feather, because owl feathers are made to be silent so they can get their prey. But sound, and the sound of the drum, right? The sound of the drum. Horse. That just brought horse energy for me. Horse energy is that's the horse is very important to the shaman, because the shaman rides on the wings of the horse to go into the journey. The horse is part of the journey. Horse energy, freedom, and that type of movement. So, sound. Different types of sound. Now there's a different type of sound too. You can make all different types of sound on a drum. So, sound is where it's at. And that's free too, isn't it, making sound? I remember a while back when I facilitated some Artist Way groups. Artist Way groups, it's a 12-week program of studying the Artist Way book by Julia Cameron. That is an amazingly wonderful process and program. And one of the groups that I did, at the end, we decided to simply go around the room. We were in a kindergarten classroom, actually, at a church. That's where we would meet every week for the 12 weeks. And in the end, we just went around and just sort of drummed all around the room together, one following the other. And we made this amazing beat kind of well up organically and naturally, this amazing tapping, or each one of us doing our own thing, but at the end we were all in this rhythm together that just sort of happened. And that is the fun and the sound of sound, and it just speaks to freedom and where we went, how we felt when we were done with that. We all sat down and felt, wow, that was pretty cool. That felt amazing. How do you feel from drumming? How do you feel? So checking in with yourself, and how do you feel when you do some of these things? How do you feel when you gong, you gong? And as I said once before, you do not have to gong a singing bowl. You can gong anything that might ring. You might have a crystal wine glass, for instance, that you could gong with your finger, and just listen to the ring, listen to the resonance of that. How does that feel to you? Where do you go with that? What is that like for you? And can you be in the stillness of the sound? Just be. Just be. Can you just be? Can you just be? I've almost forgot about the big drum that I brought, sitting over here saying, "Bitch, take me, take me." This is my 15-inch drum. This is also a deer hide drum. You can see that sounds a little different. They're all pretty high tuned today because of the cold weather. But this is the type of drum that you'd make in one of my workshops, which I do have coming up. So this is a 15-inch drum. This is the type of drum that I would be using to journey with, more so than the smaller drum, although the smaller drum I would be taking to out in the woods. As I said, it's easier to travel with. So thank you for joining me today. It's very nice to be here with you. I hope that I hear from you soon. And remember, your heart knows the way. And please contact me with a number on the screen if you'd like to know more about what I do. And have a great day.